Hello and welcome to Shadespire Tactics. In this episode I will be talking about the ability called Cleave. Cleave is a very interesting ability because it has major effects in some games and absolutely no effect in other games. If you make an attack that has Cleave, then your opponent cannot defend on shields. So if they would normally defend on shields, they only defend on crits. If your opponent defends on dodge, then they still defend on dodge. So the ability of Cleave makes dodge twice as good as shields. Whereas normally shields is better than dodge. By 50% better. When does Cleave make a huge difference? Well, a lot of characters have built-in Cleave. Several warbands have a fighter that has built-in Cleave, especially when they inspire. That ability is very, very good if your opponent defends on shields, making them nearly defenseless. They can defend on crits, and that is truly powerful against those tanky warbands. Then there are a few upgrades that can provide Cleave to the fighter, which means that every warband has in some way access to the ability Cleave. Now, not every warband defends on shields at all. Some warbands doesn't even use shields. Against those warbands, Cleave is, as I said before, completely superfluous. So it's a wasted ability. Now, where does it really count is when your opponent defends on 2 dice or more with shields, because that just wrecks a really good defense and turns it into paper armor. Now, there's also the case of the Orc named Haka. Haka has a special ability that whenever he rolls a crit on his attacks, he gains Cleave. Now, the important thing here is whenever he rolls a crit. If he rolls a crit on his attack, then the opponent needs a crit anyway to defend. So that crit gets cancelled out by any crit the opponent rolls. So for the first die, the Cleave has no effect. So only if he rolls a crit and a dagger, because he hits on daggers, does it even have a chance to have an effect. And then only if his opponent defends on 2 shields or more, it is possible, and his opponent rolls both a crit and a shield, does this actually have effect. Which means before he inspires, he only attacks on 2 dice hitting on daggers. That means one of those dice has to be a crit, the other has to be a dagger. Now on each die there's 1 crit and 1 dagger. So that gives him 2 in 36 chance of rolling that crit and a dagger. And then only against somebody who defends on 2 shields will it have effect. And that person has to roll a crit and a shield, which happens, turns out, 4 in 36 times, or 1 every 9th roll, making that ability very rare to come into play, to say the least. First, when I first looked at it, I thought, damn, Haka is dangerous. If he rolls a crit, then he has Cleave. But when you do the math, that's actually very, very rare for that ability Cleave to have any effect whatsoever. Cleave is good against people who defend on shields. People who defend on dodge has no effect whatsoever. And since Cleave is available to every warband, some warbands more than others, then defending on 1 die on shields isn't always better than defending on 1 die on dodge. And when you move to 2 dice, I actually consider dodge to be better than shields, because you always get to defend on your dodge. And a tanky character is going to be the main target for a cleaving fighter. So 2 dice on dodge is actually pretty good. And always pretty good. So, worth considering. So, like to see your comments and your thoughts about how Cleave affects the game. So, right down below. Your local meta might say that everybody's playing Dutch, so Cleave has no effect. Maybe everybody's playing with shields and Cleave has a huge effect. But comment below and hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!